G'day truck fans, I'm Rowan and welcome to the first episode of Talking Trucks Australia.
After receiving a tip the afternoon before about an interesting oversized load, I arrived at the base of Buttrose Earthmovers, located in Direct in the northern suburbs of Adelaide, just as the sun began to rise, early on a Thursday morning. While there were a few different trucks in the yard, there was an absolute standout taking centre stage. A stunningly restored 1990 Mack Value-Liner, hooked up to a Drake dolly and float trailer, holding a hefty Caterpillar 990H wheel loader. The job? To hold a 71-tonne machine to an Augusta Quarry's site at Mambray Creek, around 250 kilometres to the north. Working amongst the flashing orange lights, I spotted the truck driver putting up an oversized load sign on the lead pilot vehicle and ambushed him with an on-camera interview.
I'm Mackenzie Brook, I'm 24. We're heading up to Mambray Creek today with the 990 loader on the back, coming in at about 71 tonne-ish, roughly. Got the old Value-Liner out today, just for something different. 500 horsepower, E9.
What job's the loader got up there?
I've got a quarry up there, so that'll load our 777 dump trucks up there, just out of the stockpile, just to keep things running a bit more efficiently.
And do you drive a few different trucks within the company? Or
so I've usually got a K200 as well, but this is heaps more fun to drive while it's nice and sunny, so we park that in the shed and drive this for a couple of months just to show it off. But yeah, usually got a K200 instead that's 165 tonne rated that we use for all the sort of jobs like this.
Yeah, and what's the ride and noise like in these compared to the newer ones?
It's slow, and it's uncomfortable, and it's small, so you get a dead leg every time you drive it, but it's just hell of a lot of fun to drive, so it makes up for all the uncomfortable of it. So no, it's pretty good. It's better than factory since it's been restored. From the factory, they were obviously, as the name suggests, called a Value-Liner, so they're value for money. So they were built cheap to sort of just get sent out the desert and forgotten about.
So what trailer you've got on it?
It's a Drake Group 3x8 with a 2x8 dolly. So she's right on its weight limits with this.
This model is what's known as a Gold Dog edition, being at the rig is all Mack from front to back, with the engine, transmission and axles all manufactured by Mack. This generally means that the Bulldog bonnet mascot is changed to gold. However, at the time of the truck's restoration, the Golden Bulldogs are in back order, so it has a normal silver dog up front. The truck was originally purchased new in 1990 by Ray Singleton Transport. Buttrose Earthmovers bought the truck in 1996, repainting it in a dark green and gold, putting it to work transporting oversized machinery until 2012, when it was left parked up in a shed for the next 5 years. With rust holes in the cab exterior big enough to put your hand into, packs of rats were able to climb in and set up home in the cabin bunker for that time, feasting on the wiring and completely ruining the interior. In quite a sorry state, in 2017 it was taken to the truck factory for a full ground-up restoration, with the truck completely stripped down to the chassis and engine for a total refresh inside and out. Their hard work resulting in the beautifully presented, show-worthy truck it is today, as you can see here, where the shiny rig is turning up to the 2025 Angaston show. It was time for Mackenzie to recheck the chain securing the loader to the trailer.
We've got 8 chains on this one today. I try to do a double loop everywhere that we can, just so that it's twice as much chain. Usually try to give them a kick just in case they want to slip a bit. That'll do for that one. Same one here, give him a kick, and that'll do. We're ready to go. Fire him up in 10 minutes, check all the lights, we'll be out of here. Cool.
After filming the first part of the engine startup sequence, Mackenzie had to jump out of the cab again to open the passenger door for me, after I lost a battle of wits with the interior door handle, apparently misunderstanding what the words push and down mean. Once free from the cab, it was time for him to start up the E9 motor. On this particular truck, being a bit of an older model, the engine has an air start mechanism, making the act of turning the keys in the ignition much noisier compared to modern day Macks. Mackenzie was kind enough to warn me of this beforehand, so I was actually able to film it without flinching. With everyone prepared and the E9 idling away, the final step before heading out was filling out the logbook for the trip.
So, we've got to put all our details in, my licence number, the number plate of the truck, the day, what time we're going to leave, my odometer reading, what time zone we're in, what the day is, what hours running under, whether it's standard, BFM or AFM. I run standard because I'm oversized, so I've only got the light of the day anyway to get anywhere. So at the moment we're grossing about 110 tonne. The truck's rated for 120 tonne, so she's up on its limits across the whole lot. Yeah. We're just sneaking in with all of it, which isn't a bad thing. It means we're getting our money's worth out of all of it. So we are 4.5 wide, and we are about 26.5 long, but we're also 6 metres high, so we've got to run a over height permit as well because we're so high up.
With the logbook all filled out, load secured and 2 pilot vehicles at the ready, Mackenzie put the Mack into first gear, carefully turning out of the yard and heading down the street in a gloriously loud and smoky fashion, before heading onto Heathslip Road towards Waterloo Corner Road, turning right at a roundabout and chugging towards Port Wakeford Road. Given the convoy's fairly slow progress, I was able to take an alternative route, arriving at the intersection just in time to catch the Mack taking off and turning right onto Port Wakeford Road. Another 10 kilometres up the road, I pulled over just past the intersection at Riverlea Park, the last set of traffic lights heading north out of Adelaide, getting a clean shot of the Value-Liner taking off from a standing start. After travelling another 30 kilometres north on Port Wakeford Road, the convoy exited the highway and pulled over on the side of the road in the small rural town of Dublin, so the team could double check everything was still safe and secure.
So we just pulled up at Dublin real quick, just to check all the chains, check the tyres, make sure it's all happy, all sweet to go. And yeah, we're all set, we'll keep tracking along.
After roaring back out onto Port Wakeford Road, with another 206 kilometres to go, the convoy then continued straight on through Port Wakefield. At Nantoara, around 19 kilometres north of Port Wakefield, came the steepest challenge for the 35-year-old Mack, with a decent uphill grade to contend with. However, despite dropping some speed, the E9 V8 engine did its thing, and the Value-Liner made it up the hill with relative ease. Following the hill climb, the rest of the journey was smooth and level sailing, with the convoy periodically pulling to the side to allow other traffic to pass by, allowing me to capture some highway roadside shots of the load passing by, near Snowtown, Crystal Brook and Warnertown. After a final overtake, I used the last 25 kilometres of the trip to get ahead of the pack and set myself up for the truck's arrival, which included hiding my car behind a bush and trying to work out exactly where the truck would pull up. A short time later, around 4 hours after leaving Direct, the unmistakable sound of the Mack V8 came into earshot, with the truck gradually rumbling into position for unloading on a dirt track just off the Augusta Highway at Mambray Creek. Along with a couple of extra helpers from Augusta Quarries, turning up in a 79 series Land Cruiser Ute, the group went to work on freeing the big cat.
So we'll undo all the chains, drop the ramps, back her off, suck the float all in and we'll get out of here.
With all attachments removed, Mackenzie then climbed up and jumped into Loader's cab, sitting almost 6 metres off the ground. After starting up at the 690 horsepower diesel engine and raising the lifting arms, he eased the loader back and down the ramps onto solid ground. With the bucketless cat loader safely off the Drake float, an Augusta the Quarries worker took care of the load's last trip across the highway to their site nearby. Meanwhile, Mackenzie started preparing the trailer for an unloaded departure, first pull starting a Honda GX200 petrol motor to pressurise the hydraulic system and raise the loading ramps on the trailer.
So my float, the hydraulic motor is connected to the float. These lines then hook me up to the dolly so I can then spread the wheels in and out using that instead of using the hand pump to suck it in and out. That takes about half an hour and you're pretty worn out afterwards, so I just cheat a little bit and hook the two together. Back up these hoses and then we'll suck the float in and we'll be good to go.
Closing up the widened float requires the wheels to be rolling, so Mackenzie slowly eases the Mack back and forwards to get the narrow version in place. Given the size of the combination, doing a quick U-turn back onto the highway wasn't an option, so I jumped back in the cab while we headed a short distance down the dirt road to turn around, while Mackenzie explained the functions of the Mack's 12-speed manual gearbox.
Otherwise known as around the world, because you've got reverse over here, neutral is the next click, low, and then direct. Okay. So that also means that because reverse is on the splitter, I have in theory 5 reverse gears. I've obviously got low reverse, first, second, third and fourth reverse. Okay. Which is completely unnecessary, but it is quite handy to have. Just another fun fact for the E9s, just because I know someone will have something to say eventually. Yep. Just about the soot that comes out of it. It is, I don't know if it's the actual genuine reason for it or if it's just an old wives' tale, but when Cat and Cummins and Detroit were all coming out with 500 horsepower motors, Mack couldn't work out how to get any more power out of their motors except for basically winding the fuel pump up to get their 500 horsepower from whatever they were coming out with before. I think it was 450. Okay. So they just wound the fuel pump up and came out the factory pretty well sooting as hard as it is then, which is completely unnecessary, but yeah, that is factory, how they came out sooting that hard. It has not been wound up any more than it was originally. Just for anyone that decides that it's been tinkered with.
Having learned from my embarrassing door fail earlier that morning, I managed to open the door all by myself this time, allowing me to jump out at a makeshift paddock entrance as Mackenzie made a sweeping turn on the rough and rocky patch of land. After carefully rumbling out of the paddock and straightening up on the dirt road, Mackenzie jumped out and walked back to put the fence up.
Load is off, we're headed home now. We'll get out of here, start heading back southbound, get away from these flies that seem to be lingering around. No worries, job done. Cheers.
With the loader delivery completed and the unladen Mack ready to go, a little under 5 hours after the journey began, we bid farewell, and Mackenzie climbed back into the driver's seat, ready to head home. Launching with thick black smoke billowing from the twin exhaust stacks, the V8 Mack thumped away, the deep throbbing exhaust note continuing as it headed off into the distance.
Hey truck fans, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the episode. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe for more videos of Australian trucks. If there are any more stories you would like to see, any questions you have about Australian trucks, or if you're an Australian truck driver with an interesting story to share, please get in touch and we'll try and cover that in future episodes. In the meantime, stay tuned and we'll see you next time.